So quick little update before we jump into the video. I'll try and keep this as short and simple as sweet as possible before we jump into the regular content. But if you guys were enjoying the triple double on Call of Duty World War II, that being double XP, double weapon XP, and double division XP, that was something that was supposed to end today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but Sledgehammer ended up extending it until the end of the Resistance event, ending tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 6 p.m. GMT. So if you guys want to jump on and grind out your game a little bit more, now is a great opportunity to do so. Another 24 hours of double XP across the entire board for every available way you can rank up, except for, I guess, social score, but double social score is actually pretty cool now that I think about it. But regardless, double XP is extended now for another day. Jump on, take advantage of it if you have the opportunity. But with that said, let's just jump right into the regular scheduled content. So as you guys may or may not know, we've been in an event for Call of Duty World War II for the past couple of weeks now, the past 5 at that actually, and it seems like it's gone by pretty quickly. And if I'm honest, real life got in the way a lot more than I anticipated and had hoped. So unfortunately, I'm feeling a little bit of regret as to not take advantage of so much time that we had available. But hopefully you guys are not in the same boat if you guys are enjoying World War II. Hopefully you guys jumped on, took advantage of all the Resistance supply drops, all the contracts and everything like that, the daily orders, and all the new modes that we had available during this time. I know that I absolutely loved Demolition. I hope that comes back very soon. But that said, all good things must come to an end, and therefore tomorrow is the end of the Resistance event. So right around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 6 p.m. GMT, if you guys are online, you'll probably be kicked out and told that there is a new update available for World War II. And if I'm a betting man, I would say that it's more than a hotfix and a playlist update, it's more so an update. So something you actually have to physically go and download on your PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and or PC. Now this bet of mine is simply based off of the one previous instance we have to go off of to use as that sort of base and what we can expect. And this is what the general format's gonna be for a lot of the content here with this. While we don't have anything specifically laid out to us like a calendar of events like we had for the Resistance event, we do have something to go off of in which we saw a return to normalcy. So that's where this video is going to be going, and sort of a heads up for the next couple of minutes here talking about all this stuff. A lot of it might sure be theory, but it's based off of past theory that we've seen proven. So if that makes sense, that's where we're going with this here. But again, the only other instance we had of this was the Winter Siege update, in which we had at that point in time to end this out a 1.8 gigabyte update, and probably going to be having a similarly built one starting tomorrow around those times, so prep for that accordingly. I know some people don't have the best internet, some people have some great internet, so therefore it really just depends when you can jump back in on it, but very similar in build, I would imagine, for that sort of update. And the core components of this update is simply going to be removing everything that was Resistance themed. So jumping right into the contents of what actually might be changing here with this, the aesthetic changes are the very big ones here with this. So for instance, when you jump into the headquarters, right now if you were to go in, you'd see all sorts of Resistance themed stuff. You'd see some graffiti and the Resistance typefaces and other references. You'll see the cars in the headquarters as well, the old time French cars. You have the confetti in the firing range. All of that will be gone with tomorrow's update. It's just gonna go back to what it was before. I don't wanna say a barren headquarters, but very similar. It's gonna be stripped down of all those extra little pieces, bells and whistles here and there. So if you become accustomed to it, unfortunately that is going to go by the wayside. And again, another one that is going to change that a lot of people really seem to enjoy, but also the memes will come back, is that there's no more Butcher. We're gonna have our regular Quartermaster come back. She's returning for a little bit of time here, depending on when the next event ends up happening within World War II. Butcher is now gone until next time. And talking a little bit about Butcher and his quarters, the Quartermaster itself is going to change a little bit as well, because we're going to see a change up to the contracts and also the collection system overall. So let's start out the bigger portion here, the collections themselves. If you guys remember what happened with Winter Siege and the items there, unfortunately that was kind of a situation that did not go as well as a lot of us anticipated. So make sure that if you have something you want still on the table, make sure you end up getting that in terms of maybe armory credits or opening up saved drops, because if this performs like last time, the Winter Siege collections actually could be completed after the event, but the rewards themselves could not be redeemed. So therefore, if you ended up, say, getting the final couple of pieces to, say, maybe the GPMG or the Gewehr, if you ended up completing those collections collections by getting the random drops out of regular supply drops after the event ended, even if you had 8 out of 8 out of that collection, it should, in theory, grant you that weapon overall as that collection reward. But even if you ended up getting 100% completion on those collections, they didn't give you the rewards because the collection itself was locked. Winter Siege was over. So therefore, if I'm a betting man, once again, it's going to be the same thing with the resistance items. So if you have something that you still want, make sure you try and attempt to get it. I'll be totally honest with you, I think this system of how things lock is incredibly dumb and it seems more like a bug than a real happening. But if it is like the Winter Siege event, we may be seeing it happen, and I just don't want you guys to get locked out like I did. I ended up missing, I think, a variant or two that I was looking forward to because I thought that, well, we're gonna be still getting stuff afterwards. It's still possible to get, but unfortunately, that's not the case. And also, if you guys have bribes left over, make sure you open up those as well. But if you have saved supply drops, definitely do those first and then the bribes after, just so that you can end up, say, getting the chances for any dupes out of the way initially. If you were to open up the bribes and get 3 things that were dupe protected, well, of course, if you have supply drops afterwards, you'll have the chance for more dupes on top of that. So if you can get the chances of dupes out of the way and then get 3 guaranteed items you don't have for each bribe, it's definitely worth. So give those a shot, open those up, because once again, if you don't do that by tomorrow, well then unfortunately, you might end up completing a collection that will be locked up if it once again follows the same way the Winter Siege event finished up. Now, as for the contracts, once again, these are all speculation at this point in time, simply because, well, they're just going to return to normal, but normal is pretty much what we've seen already. So just an educated guess here, formulating on what this may end up looking like. But if you guys remember, before the Resistance event ended up, we ended up having the contracts of 20 kills in TDM, 25 kills in Domination, both of those for 30 minutes, and 375 credits each. Then you had the different 25 kill challenges for each classification of weapon, excluding sniper rifles. You had rifles, shotguns, LMGs, and SMGs, all for 20 minutes and ranging from 50 credits to 100 credits, depending on which one it was. So those would all net you, once again, a supply drop, but ultimately it would come down to cost versus benefit. So some people found them worth, some people didn't, but regardless, those are very much so similar to what we'll be seeing tomorrow, probably, if not exactly identical. Now, as for the other ones, well, of course, there are going to be XP contracts, as always, and I would guess that would get some sort of contract for some sort of bribe, potentially in conjunction with Twitch Prime loot and the new bundle that comes out with that, because if I'm not mistaken, today's the last day for the Resistance bundle with the Twitch Prime content, so that'll refresh starting tomorrow, and then we'll get a new one as well. So potentially in line with that, last time we had an epic bribe given, that was in conjunction with Twitch Prime, but you also had the ability to get that through contracts for those people that did not have Twitch Prime. So maybe one of those things on the horizon as well for that final slot in the classifications of contracts, but ultimately that rounds out the Quartermaster changes that we'll be seeing. As for the orders, we'll be getting normal orders once again, going back down to those supply drops that are regular. No more Resistance supply drops given from Major Howard, but if you do still have stuff active, you can still get those afterwards, and same with the orders as well. And if you still have anything active in the sense of the special orders, those will all carry over also. But another big gameplay thing comes down to the featured playlists. Throughout the last couple of weeks, we've had different playlists like Prop Hunt, Gun Game, and Demolition, and unfortunately those are going to be removed. There might still be the inclusion of the Resistance featured playlist. That might stay, and of course with the launch of DLC 1 over on Xbox, that'll probably be there for you guys as well. Xbox One players and PC players will have that featured playlist, but as for PlayStation 4, it might be hit or miss, but ultimately those other ones are completely gone. We'll probably be seeing the return of Carrington 24/7 as a featured playlist as well, which to me, I don't think I've jumped in once and I have no plans to do so, but regardless, that is pretty much where we're at with that. But also one thing to keep in mind, this then goes into maybe potential future editions and events. Domination XL is a featured playlist, and that very well may come tomorrow. Again, we've talked about this many times, and I don't mean to just beat a dead horse here at this, but if we were going to see an update to a game in which we end up getting something like Paint Jobs, Domination XL, the Flak event for all, that sort of stuff is going to require an actual update, something that we could not have granted to us like the playlist updates we were getting the past couple of weeks, just refreshing playlists. That is going to require an actual physical update to the game, and that's something that, again, if we follow the same pattern as what we saw with the Winter Siege event ending, we ended up getting an actual full-blown patch. Once again, a 1.8 gigabyte patch, very similar to what we may see tomorrow. So that might add in, once again, paint jobs, Domination XL, and the flak event for all. Something that I'm personally hoping for, but is in no way, shape, or form confirmed, but it does make logical sense. We only had one other update during the Resistance event, and one to start the Resistance event, neither of which saw these, but both of which were in the time frame of when we saw promise of these things coming to World War II. So this third and final update for the Resistance event, well, it makes sense in my books. Now the only thing left to do is to wait and see. As for moving on in the future, well, once again, I think that we're going to be getting another event sometime soon. I'd probably give it about 3 to 4 weeks or so. That's my guess. That's the time frame in which we saw from Winter Siege to the Resistance event. That downtime wasn't all that much, so I'd expect it to be in a similar fashion going into the third event for World War II, and especially having talked with some of the developers, they seemed very keen on the idea of having more events. It was just a fun way to push more content and more community interaction out there with the game, so I would expect more to be coming. I, of course, have no idea if it will or when, but once again, following similar time frames, probably about 3 to 4 weeks, I'd maybe start to anticipate something else. So not all that much downtime on the future, but that is where we're gonna wrap this video up here with this one. So hopefully this provided some insight into what you'll be seeing going into World War II starting tomorrow. Once again, expect an update and expect a lot of things to be changed out from what you may have become accustomed to over the past couple of weeks. So hopefully this helped you out in some way, shape, or form. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below. Do you think that we're going to be getting Domination XL? I think that's the biggest question on my mind, at least, for tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comment section down below, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding World War II. Anything regarding best class setups, tips, tricks, news, information, showcases, updates, all that good stuff, we got you covered here up on the channel. So if any of it interests you, make sure that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. And if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram, trying to get a little bit more active over there, so if you guys want to follow on that front, feel free to. That link is as well in the description below. With all that said and out of the way, hope you guys had a fantastic day. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.